Hello guys.
Hey, good afternoon, good morning, whenever it is. Hey, Terrence.
Hey, Colin. Hey, Juan. How's it going?
All good?
How's life after KubeCon, Colin?
Tiring. I feel like I haven't caught back up. I bet you're the same though.
Yeah,
How was it?
it was good. A lot of people.
Nice. Nice, nice. Show, Joe, go. I'm gonna take this one. Let's see. Create. Okay, I'm just create the entry in the doc. Please sign in. Is it Joy here? No, right? Joy is not here. Joy. Jesse, sorry. Is Joy here? No. Joy is not here either. Okay. Um, is there any new faces? I do not see it. Let me share my screen with the doc. Let's see over here. Oh. Okay, let's see the open RFCs. There is something here. How do I hide this thing? Hide video panel. Okay. Ready for review. I think we don't have anything. No. And for voting, no. So there's no open RFC that requires our attention. Not sure if there is anything new. Why this one doesn't appear in requires store? Oh, because it has no label. You should have like a label for the store thing. Oh my gosh. We have a lot of RFC here and they do not show in our filters. Should take a look at
Yeah, but
that.
a lot of times it's some that like weren't, finished up or ready for the
Okay.
next phase. So it's okay. Some of those are kind of just in like probably should be draft or something like that.
Okay. I don't know if there is something new regarding the TOC graduation process. I remember that it was postponed, right? We need to do some
Yeah.
things.
No updates right
Uh,
now. I think there's some items on Terrence and I, just some changes to governance and stuff like that.
okay. Anything that you need some help or anything we can do?
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think so. I kind of just stopped thinking about it shortly after KubeCon, and we'll get back to it shortly and then let you know.
Okay, good. Uh, then we have this item here, CyberJar interview.
Yeah, I did this
Oh yeah.
yesterday. Just wanted to let people know to share it around. The other, it was fun. Nothing um, remarkable for the folks that are, used to attending this call. But do share it, let them know. And then the other one I wanted to share, this came out of a conversation at KubeCon. I was really excited to see this. But I'm pulling up the link. Yeah, here we go. So we met this fella, Ganesh, from, I think he was at the time at Nethermind.
Oh yeah.
And they built some GitHub actions around um, building images for Google Cloud Run. And I thought that was really cool. And I asked him to write a blog post, and he did. And so please, share it
Oh
for everyone
yeah,
to
I
see.
remember this one. You posted on X,
Yeah, I
right?
posted on LinkedIn, but like my my reach is about LinkedIn and nothing else these days. It used to be much wider. So,
I,
What social networks do people even use these days, right?
yeah, I kind of looked to Rom to help, and Rom did share this, I think, on Twitter, or X or whatever. And I just don't know if there's other places anymore. I'm not cool.
You're not cool.
you're not cool. Yeah, you can also post this one right on X. Twitter was when I say Twitter. Yeah, but on X. Yeah.
But yeah,
I saw.
I love this Google one because I've always had a little issue
Okay.
getting those working, and I think people are eager to try them. So that's a great post.
Awesome. Good.
Uh,
Cool. I don't know if there is any update from my side on Pack. I will be addressing some CVEs and stuff for the latest version. I will be patching dependencies and stuff and creating
is
a new.
is that just like dependency updates for the CVs, or I
I
assume?
need to take a look. I was going to check that, but I believe it's just CVEs. Let me double check. I think it's so for the one. Let me take a look on that. I believe it's just that, but I didn't check. Let's take a look here very quickly. Oh, it's 42. Sorry. Yeah, but I think it's just that. Oh, I don't know if you saw the news from yesterday, probably, or this new model from Anthropic that it's finding a lot of
Oh, the
vulnerabilities in.
Gaswing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is some
Uh,
talk in the maintainer channel because the Linux Foundation is one of the partners for Anthropic. So there's a discussion about how project maintainers can get access to it.
oh, okay. Okay, I will take a look on that then.
I can find the thread because I just was reading it earlier.
What's it called?
Uh,
What was the name for it again?
Glasswing,
Can you say it again or spell it? Is it okay?
Glasswing.
Glasswing. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so these are the stuff from Pack. So this is Moby, Bulky, Buildkit, and Docker. Yeah, it's just probably some upgrade on the dependency.
Very cool.
But
Yeah.
I linked the thread in the maintainer circle,
Oh, awesome.
where Jeffrey from the CNCF was chatting. I mean, I think basically it's like he was like ping the, I think I don't know if we'll get access to it anytime soon, but there is a thread in the maintainer channel if you wanna kind
Okay,
of jump
nice.
in.
I will take a look.
Uh,
Okay, what else we have? Back questions,
what's the pack
Colin.
question, Colin? I'm happy to circle back to my stuff.
Yeah, so we're going through a process of upgrading, or we were looking at moving to pack for our in Apinio, our embedded build process running in Kubernetes. And we were evaluating pack versus KPack. And in previous calls, I think we had preferred pack because we weren't sure what was going to happen with KPack. But the blocker I've hit, which you guys have seen and hit before, certainly is I can't provide access to the Docker daemon, and so can't find any information about running pack without Docker, if it's even possible. From what I've found, it seems like I might be able to, like it might be specifically tied to the publish step, like the requirement for um, the Docker socket, but wanted to see if there was a clear path or way to use pack without a Docker socket, or like rootless, I guess.
Yeah, I think you need it for running yeah, with the dot published, we will not use it, but it's like a requirement to have Docker install. Not
You
Docker.
can use it with a, yeah, you
You
can use it
can
with a
use
remote daemon
Podman.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah, Podman or remote daemon.
yeah. You can, I mean, you can use Podman too, but I believe we do need the stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you need one of these things.
Do we know what KPack does where KPack does not require it?
KPack is running the life cycle
So it's just going through a life
directly.
cycle. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's info on, this is what I asked my guys too, but they just weren't
Mhm.
available to come today. Do you know if there's info on the gaps between the builder functionality on pack versus KPack?
Oh my God, I think I wrote something on KPack, at least the comparison. You remember, let me see. KPack,
The
this one,
yeah
a
yeah
long
that
time ago.
article.
Okay.
A long time ago, I wrote this thing just to provide like some ideas on the difference between both of them and how you do a pack build against build in KPack. Uh, I mean, this was 3 years ago, but I think at least can give you an idea of the difference between them. Uh, but in case of functionality, I mean, here, right, you have a cluster and nodes that are going to run the build, and the build is going to use lifecycle directly, and then all the customer resources that KPAD is implementing for the platform API in a different way. It does the same thing, but it's just doing it in the Kubernetes scope. And yes, here you don't need Docker or Podman or Podman any runtime. And the reason we need it in Pack is because of that, because we spin up a container when doing your build. So we need that interface. Pack needs something to run a container in the machine where it's running the build. And that's the reason we need Docker or something. We skip the requirement of the daemon when you use the publish thing, because we will not save the image on the daemon. We will save it directly in the OCR registry, but we still need something to run a container and run the build. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
So
And then
that's
that build is being run in the container, basically. So
yes,
I
that's
get that.
correct.
Okay.
And KPAC is doing that directly on Kubernetes, a new pod on several pods, actually, like init pod that creates some stuff, and then the pod that is running the build and everything. So that's why they don't need Docker there, because they're using the Kubernetes runtime and stuff.
Got it.
Okay.
Let's see. So it's either, for us, it's probably either change our architecture to use KPAC, because we've got we basically spin up a workload and run. Today we run Lifecycle Creator inside of that staging workload. And instead of rewriting that whole workflow, we were like, hey, let's just use pack.
Okay. So right now you run directly the life cycle, right?
Right. And so we're kind of doing a subset, I guess, of what KPAC does. And so we could move that whole piece, like where the staging workloads and things run, from KPAC or into KPAC, but there is customization that like users can change. They can use different config maps for the script that gets run in our staging workload. So it's almost like as if we go and look at what gets passed to that container workload with pack to do the build, it's almost like if we just extracted that part, we could dump that in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Because at the end you still run, but I mean, when you run the lifecycle creator, you are the one that is creating this workload, that container to run it, right?
Right. It's being run in that container, yeah.
Okay, but then it's your infrastructure that it's doing that. Yes, with pack needs to do it, and to create a container, it needs Docker or Podman. And then on KPAC, it's doing that for you. So if you want to move out from that particular case, then yes, it's more similar to what KPAC is doing than what pack is doing, unless you run pack inside your workload. And in that point, I don't know if your workload has like Docker or could have Podman installed on it. It will be like a container inside a container thing, which is weird. And
yeah, it would be like Kubernetes and Kubernetes, or Kubernetes
yeah,
and Docker kind of thing.
yes, yeah, exactly.
And so that's where the deviation, or like the gap or the differences that I was thinking about is because we're still not, I don't know if you guys are confident, and maybe it is like, are we confident that KPAC is going to continue to be maintained as an option kind of thing? Or because I know KPAC was kind of like donated. I don't want to move our architecture to it if it's not going to have a clear future.
Yeah. In fact, I haven't talked or see the guys from KPAC in a long time. Well, at least it's been still maintained, looks like. But I don't know if Tom and the guys from Broadcom are still there.
I think Tom still works on it. We were talking with Daniel at KubeCon, and he was saying that Tom still like adds him to issues to review. I think Daniel's not working on it actively since he moved to Cockroach, but he still reviews things from Tom.
Okay.
So
yeah,
so
it's hard
Tom,
to say.
I think Tom's still working on it. Yeah.
Because I mean, in our process, it was donated to this build pack community area, which is like a staging area for us in build packs to have like new tools and stuff. And then there is a process for accepting or graduating this community stuff into the actual build pack ecosystem. And I do not remember what was open here on KPAC. I do remember that there was some things we mentioned that require, yeah, I believe this stuff. Oh, are not open? Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't know if it's anding or oring.
I do remember that there were some concerns about it. Oh yeah, these ones. Okay. So there was like doing some I mean making KPAD go through some kind of security review similar to what BuildPack did with the CNCF. And the other one was some issues with how KPAC was. I mean, life cycle in KPAC, the life cycle, KPAC was not using the life cycle version we published on BuildPacks. They was like wrapping that thing in another component because they have some stuff there. And but I think they fixed that. So actually, we haven't revisited these things. So yeah, the future of KPAC, if it's gonna be actually accepted in BuildPacks as a tool and another component is not clear to me right now. Not sure if the TOC members like Joe and Terence has some thoughts.
Trying to track down the use. I mean, is there is the use of Docker running that process in a container like a hard dependency long term?
For pack.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly just because it's convenient for local CLI things of how you get container stuff. We have talked, I think, a bunch about removing the Docker daemon dependency.
Demon, yeah.
Um, but
But I mean, the runtime at the end of the day, you need something, right, to run a container and run the build in a container. That's what Pack is trying to do, and keep things running inside a container. It's convenience because depending on whatever application you are building, you don't need to install the actual dependencies and everything you need to build that code. So spinning up a container and building the source code in a container is, I believe it's, yes, convenience for Pack to do it as a CLI. Now, if it depends on Docker or could be something else that do something similar, yeah, I think that's something we can, talk about. At the end, I suppose it's Docker because everybody was using Docker. So,
Oh yeah, of course.
so it's convenience because you already have Docker in your machine. Try this new Pack CLI, what it's doing. Okay, let me just run Pack build, and that's it. Uh, that's probably the main reason.
Yeah, it looks like it builds the phases and then it does execute with Docker. Like it executes the phases with Docker.
Yeah,
Okay.
what Pack is doing behind the scene is just, yes, creating containers and mounting volumes and things and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff. Yeah, that's what it's doing. And it's doing it through like an interface from Docker. But behind the implementation behind the scenes could be Podman because they're implementing the same thing. That's why it works with Podman. So I mean, if you could have something that looks like Docker, but it's not Docker, but implements the same interface, in theory, it should work. But Bucket's going to create a container.
right. Okay, so no easy answers here, David.
That's all right.
Yeah, I
are
will
you trying
say,
to propose a change where it like orchestrates a Kubernetes pod instead, Colin?
I'm almost like I don't know if I want to go that far, right? Um, I'm almost like I wish it would just output the phases and give me what I need to run um, the life cycle hooks directly. I just maybe a little bit more control on like where those get run, because if I can run life cycle and the same scripts on just like any machine, Docker wrapping, like creating those and then wrapping them in a Docker container and running it there is nice and convenient. But if I want to just run it on my machine, just like run it here, which is effectively what we're doing if we have our own implementation with lifecycle, then like I'm cool with that. It basically is just I know I need to do something with the image, or I know I need to do something with the artifacts at that point. But that's kind of known. What I want to avoid is going and writing our own implementation of
Platform
life
implementation.
cycle and then having to maintain that and keep that up to date. When Pack kind of does all of that, it just happens to also have this extra convenience of Docker, which has become a dependency. So I'm just like trying to think
Yeah.
critically about it on my own.
I
And like
mean, but
the other side, K-Pack, yeah, same
if
thing.
you come, it looks like it's like a different platform, right? Implementation with something that Python does, but without some things. So I don't know if you made up with some ideas and want to write some RFC and we can discuss crazy things. That's fine, I believe.
Right, right. Yeah, that's kind of in the part that we're in right now. Because there's like we use Lifecycle Creator, but we don't have the convenience of a lot of the things that have been written
Yeah,
for like inline build packs
yeah,
and other stuff that we know we see the value we need. And it would just be ultra convenient if we happen to have been able to swap pack uh or swap creator out for pack, then we would have gotten that extra stuff. Then we could focus on passing in the parameters we need via the command line params and yada yada. But we're using this to orchestrate Kubernetes in Kubernetes. So we're not going to provide access to the Docker daemon for all the security reasons and everything else.
yeah.
We've got the in environment object storage as well as image storage. Like that stuff is all there and self-contained. So we got everything we need. It's just the matter of getting that build process more aligned with the upstream.
Yeah.
But it could be too that we're getting into this journey now on rewriting the builder that we use. And so maybe it's just not as complicated as we think we're dealing with somebody else's like 2-year-old technical debt on the use of creator. So we're just kind of learning at the same time. It's just a happy convenience if we were able to say, hey, disable Docker for this one, run it on the host.
Cool.
I wonder if it's just a change to phase factory is what I'm kind of trying to.
It could be, yeah, at the end, that part impact is just like a layer to execute the steps and everything. So I don't know if we have the abstractions to the runtime and something that we can do differently. But if you came up with some idea, even impact like a new mode or something to produce what you need, maybe that could be like an input for something else to actually run the thing. I don't know. Maybe we can think about something. Not sure.
Right. That's kind of what I was thinking. Is like what's getting passed into life cycle exec here, which is requiring Docker to do that.
Yeah.
And is it like a pre-built container basically? So it's Docker
like
instructions
dry
and okay,
run.
cool. So let's extract that and just run those.
Yes, because what Pack does is just prepare the execution for the container with all the
Right.
things that requires to be mounted and everything. Obviously,
Right.
can do some things behind the scenes to prepare stuff like the build packs in line or whatever. And then, but at the end, it's just preparing the execution of life cycle.
Right.
And in order to do that, it requires that run a container. So like Terence is based in there, like a dry run mode where I tell, hey, do not run life cycle, but tell me how you're gonna run it.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was something that we saw too, is the dry run or the publish that seemed to be a flag for
maybe.
the check
Yeah,
for the Docker socket.
yeah. And if then that output can help you to do whatever next, you can do whatever you want to do next, which is not gonna be Pack, it's gonna be you. Good. So yeah, maybe it's something like that. You can think about it, and if there is something you want to do, feel free to create the RFC and everything,
Yeah, it sounds
and
good.
that will be the process.
Yeah, and I appreciate the insight.
Now, good.
David, do you have any particular questions?
No, I think that gives me a much better idea of like where we need to do some work on our end. Um, because yeah, like we've put together a prototype of just replacing life cycle of pack, and that was pretty easy, just kind of drop in kind of thing. But we had to have like a to get to work, we had to do like a Docker and Docker sidecar kind of thing, and yeah, as I already discussed, that just you run into security problems. Um, so yeah, I think we need to do some work on our end and figure out exactly what we need and maybe put a proposal together.
Nice. Happy to help.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Cool. Awesome. Is there anything else someone wants to talk about?
I put two things on the agenda. One came from Maintainer Summit. I think I posted in Build Pack Maintainers at some point. I don't think it's a thing we need to action on immediately. I think they're targeting sandbox projects to start. But there is the dot projects thing they're
Oh,
trying to do to basically standardize a bunch of, just like metadata stuff about the projects. So I think they're starting to use that to build kind of things around. Yeah, it's not their automation thing. So they announced this at Maintainer Summit on Sunday, in the
okay.
opening keynote thing. But
Right.
Yeah,
you
you
could see
guys can
it.
look at it as like
Yeah,
this is a YAML file that provides information about my project.
yeah.
You
And
know,
then I think they will hopefully use this for like populating the maintainers file stuff for us, so we don't have to like open PRs against it. We can just, you know, update
Okay.
our own thing for
Good.
it, and then that links into Service Desk and kind of everything. So I think it gives us kind of control over those things. Colin, do you know how widely rolled out this is on their end? Like not on for projects, but like if we do this, what we even get out of it right now?
I think it's going to be a general requirement for everybody. Is the like broadly, it will be, I believe, a sweeping
I know that's
rollout.
eventually true,
Yeah.
but I don't know how like baked in this is to anything right now for what they're
Yeah, as far
doing.
as timeline, I don't know on the expectations for timeline.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay. Cool.
I know
Um,
it's not meant to be complicated. It's meant to be more helpful.
yeah. Yeah.
Like the questions that I've seen so far in the maintainer channels have been like, well, I already have a list of maintainers that I manage a certain way, and I already have certain policies. You mean I have to change those? And it's like, no, 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 no. You're just like telling us you have some and where they are. It's
Yeah.
just a little bit more
Okay.
self-service.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's just a thing that they talked about at KubeCon for Maintainer Summit, and
And
thought I'd
is this something per project, right? Per repo, per component, I
uh
mean?
I think it will be per CNCF project, right? So we use
Yeah,
this, we would have it.
I think it is its own. I think
It
you
would be
can
its
push
own
it as
repo,
its
but
own repo.
I don't think you're like creating a dot project per like for packs versus lifecycle. It's like there's one for
Right.
build packs.
I think this
Yeah.
is like you
Okay.
create a dot project repo
Yeah. Like there's only one maintainer
in your
list for
org.
all of build packs, like
Okay. Okay.
like that the CNCF cares about. Like they don't care that you maintain pack but not lifecycle or whatever, right?
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it in your org and not the
In the org. Okay. Got
yeah.
Yeah.
it. Good. Okay. Uh,
Yeah,
the
this linked to like a Slack thread, basically.
yeah.
But George, who I guess runs projects, but I mostly know him from kind of Bluefin Bootsy thing. He posted a thing in the Bootsy dev channel asking me a bunch of questions around what it would look like. Like, could he replace a bunch of his Bluefin distro stuff with build packs to basically build the Linux distro? And I was back channeling a little bit with Joe on, this reminds me a lot of like the build packs proposal way back in the day of
Yeah.
um of like trying to basically build like the entire kind of base image thing. But I think we've also gotten requests for base image building in general. I don't think Build Pack supports a path to do this today, but I think he was just interested in like the whole like it like if there's a standardized way to kind of basically pull layers and stuff together, it actually is not a crazy idea to want to
Okay.
use something to kind of do that.
Yeah, that's how I was visualizing the change, like the changes that we would need for pack if we wanted to run, just choose to run in the host. Because, in theory, we could have a builder output the steps for compiling the machine image or the container, right? The OS and container image for the immutable Linux stuff. There is a project that we use called Edge Image Builder, which is kind of very pack like, but it takes a manifest, right? And then it's like a cloud init, and it'll preload and pre-prepare all your assets and artifacts and yada yada yada. I totally could see outputting the artifacts and manifests required to then run this other tool, like use build packs to extract and put together those manifests and those dependencies, and then pass it to that next tool, which then runs the actual compilation. Um, but yeah, build packs could be. I mean, I think it's the idea of the build pack that
yeah.
is good here. But yeah, how would you go from source to OS image?
Yeah.
Is it the right? What is your input? It's like I need Ubuntu with these apps, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
There are a number of companies though with the immutable OS and all that stuff that are working on um, essentially it's the OS as a container to run in like hyperconverged and kubevert and all that stuff. Or the OS layer as a container on top of that like immutable OS shim. And there's very real things happening for like OS packages or runtimes like system D and stuff like as a container. And so you're like running that process in a container. It's very Nix like. There are companies that are
Hmm.
like folks that are doing a lot of that. So I guess I could see having a build pack to produce that container. It's totally feasible today, probably, but the whole level of like the entire ISO or QCOW or something, I don't know. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine for a lot of the Linux distro stuff too is like you don't build the image from scratch. Like you probably are inheriting from an existing base image and you just want to apply your layers on top, right?
Right.
Like even the Bluefin use cases, like they are using like uCore, right? Like Universal Blue. or something to start, and then basically putting their customizations on top, and then want to bake that into an immutable OS that they ship. And I don't know if it was just like an interesting thought exercise because he knew I worked on buildbacks, or if it was like I am not happy with the just file like hackery that exists today for how I put all this stuff together.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah, today our process uses a seed image, and then which you can build using the same tools and make it recursive, but it uses a seed image, which would you in the seed image you would have some like registration hooks or basically it's like, okay, Flash, have this base image that if I flash it to a device and layer in some additional configuration like the Wi-Fi access point password or something, then I can flash that to a device, send it out to an edge site. It connects to the internet, orchestrates itself, phones home, uses that metadata, and then uses that config on top of it to expose a Wi-Fi network as an access point. Like we're using it for edge stuff like that today. But I'm fascinated by where the container OS stuff is going. That's interesting.
yeah. I definitely spent a bunch of cycles at KubeCon, hanging out with the Bootsy folks and chatting with the Red Hat guys over there.
Yeah, that's cool.
There was definitely some potentially interesting discussions that we were starting to kick off around trying to see if we can replace the Docker file native extension stuff with something more composable. With I was just referencing their work on like OS tree and Compose.s and things like that, like RPM OS tree and all those things. And if there's like Dockerfile feels like you take the machete of just, well, here's the tool that does the thing versus like a thing that's actually crafted to solve the problem, right? Which is like you just want to put a small select number of layers, but you want it to be, composable that then gets applied on top, right?
Right.
Dockerfile is basically like, I'm just going to replace the entire image. And probably most of the time you're actually just inheriting from the existing base image and just like applying like a small incision on top. But like you don't really get that. I feel like primitive, right? It's like, well, here you go. Here's the new manifest with everything, right? And so then I think it makes it hard for all the kind of operators to then do that at scale. Like, I feel like native extension then becomes well, you really have to want like this capability to then do it because you're giving up essentially any sense of scalability with it.
You just made me think about something. Is there with all the talk about like shifting CI/CD closer to the developer and the build and all that, is there a list of anything that like you shouldn't do in a build pack or in a builder? Just curious. Or is it really like, well, you could do whatever you want. You could do your entire CI/CD process inside of your builders.
We definitely have people that do that. I don't know if you should or shouldn't. Like, I don't know if it's like for us to say like how you use the tools and capabilities. I think we're definitely predisposed to certain workflows just because of what we're used to and what we've seen work in the environments we're in. I saw Joe go off mute. Maybe he wants to chime
Yeah,
in.
I was gonna say a similar thing. Like you shouldn't run your tests, but like you can, but that may be challenging. You don't want to pull in a lot of dependencies or artifacts that aren't actually needed for the like the thing that you're trying to do, which is build the final run image. Um, that said, we do some really interesting things with build packs at Salesforce. I mentioned before, we build these like artifact images that aren't executable and just contain, each layer contains like a Helm chart or Terraform manifest or some JSON config. And we can use that image as a convenient way to like store tarballs and then use it to like reconstitute a service. So we call it like an infrastructure image. So in the execution of that build pack, we run a lot of validations and call APIs that verify that the Terraform or whatever that we're generating is, I don't know, meets some compliance or whatever it is, right? And those are in effect not idempotent. Like if that API changes or we add a new validation or whatever, if you ran the build again, you might get a different result, but that's on purpose for us. So
I will say we definitely have seen people come through and do the thing that Joe said you probably don't want to do. And it works for them because I think they basically don't want to build, they want to just leverage the build pack lifecycle thing to do the orchestration for them. I think generally when you have a Jenkins or whatever pipeline where build packs is just part of it, it's really easy relatively to like use it to pipeline a bunch of different things. So I think in that use case, it's like, okay, I build my test thing as a build, like that's a lifecycle run, right? Where it builds a test image, or maybe you don't even build and care about the test image, you actually just do the test in that thing. And then it outputs some result that you kind of get that just tells you if you should proceed or not, right? And then you then do a whole separate build that I think what Joe is saying is like it's clean, right? Like now I'm producing a thing that is just for run, so I don't have any like things that are lingering from the other thing. I don't have to deal with that. And then you just get like a pristine, like here's the production image. But we definitely have people that have come in and said like they do the entire build where they build the test thing, and if it fails, then they make the build fail. So they basically do like both builds or whatever, like in a single kind of lifecycle execution. So we've seen
Right.
people kind of do that. So I think it just kind of depends on how much you trust your kind of process to kind of clean that, or how much you want to just like leverage the life cycle to essentially like manage that orchestration for you.
Yeah, I was kind of envisioning it like a collection of plugins that you layer together, and we're talking about things like doing smart at build time dependency substitution. So like, yeah, developer picks populates a whole package JSON from a bunch of public sources. So this gives us the ability to add a layer that allows us to do smart dependency swapping at that time and go grab those same dependencies from like a secure package source, or swap versions or do some stuff for the developer. And then they don't even have to know, and it just outputs what it needs to output. Um, and things like that. That seems totally reasonable. But we were also thinking about like the deeper cases of like, yeah, should we run our tests? That kind of thing. So it's good for you guys to touch on that. And we know we could do everything, but it's kind of like we also do kind of want to use the tool as it was intended, because there probably are very specific reasons for doing things certain ways. So I always want to ask.
Yeah, we did just land, I feel like late last year, the env stuff for basically doing different stage build pack things. And that
mhm.
is, I think that basically relies on you're going to do multiple lifecycle runs there. And part of that logic for that was if you're doing a test or build of some kind for that thing, the test image allows you to kind of do that in a little more reproducible fashion where you could pull that image down from the registry and like poke at it. Versus, I guess it's more ephemeral if you're kind of doing it within the same lifecycle run.
Yeah, yeah,
But like really depends on, I guess, like the platform you're trying to curate and build for.
yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, I don't know where any of the Linux distro root build pack discussions should go. I don't think it's a thing we're supporting today. But I think similar to the like different artifact export stuff, like changing export to support things,
Yeah.
it definitely feels like one of the two things that definitely keep coming up. And maybe it's that people like to your point, Colin, the idea of build packs, and maybe build packs don't need to solve everything under the sun, but it does feel like people are unhappy
Yeah.
with the current state of tools as they stand.
Yeah, I mean, I think what people really want is like modularity, composability for these processes that need to go into doing a thing. And right now, the only game in town for doing that really is build packs. But I think the question for us is not like I actually think the root packs and all that stuff, like we understand the problems. The question is a little bit more existential, kind of like Dan had brought up in Slack. Like, doesn't this mean build packs ends up kind of going two different directions where like it does this thing that's kind of really different. And right now it's really focused on a particular set of users.
Yeah.
And do we want to go that I don't want to say fork, but like have that kind of fragmentation or whatever. And I think that's a tough question.
I do think root build packs leans into that a lot more. I do think the export is less of a hard fork.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, I think that's actually like the inverse problem, which is instead of marrying yourself to OCI image, be more flexible. Where I feel like the other one is doubling down on OCI image and changing the input. Yeah. One wants more
Okay.
modular, like more flexible export, and one wants more flexible input into the
Yeah.
process, I think. But
I'm still super excited. I think people are sleeping on build packs. So I'm ready for you guys to have too many people in these calls.
we have like 1,000 people in the Build Packs general channel. I'm shocked there are so many for how often people talk to any of
Yeah.
us. So
No, I couldn't believe it. KubeCon, I felt like 50% of people that came by the booth, the kiosk, were users that don't actually participate in the community.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really tough to get people involved.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the experience is, yeah, there are a lot of people that uses build packs that knows about it, but you don't know because they never show up or do or say anything. Just use the tool, which is great because it's like, okay, the tool works, the technology works, solves problems, people use it, but they don't tell us. So sometimes it's like, hey, say something. It's nice to see that the technology is helping
yeah,
you, but
uh, there was that thing that George also linked in maintainers. I feel like I've been just on a CNCF kick, I guess, after KubeCon, but I put in the maintainers channel, but Coop Stellar has a thing in their contributing MD or their issues MD thing that basically adds a little blurb to tell people to please open anything in adopters kind of thing. And I wonder if that's just worth adding.
yeah,
Uh,
okay.
yeah. Anyways, we don't have to keep dragging on if people don't have other things they want to chat about. Um, yeah, maybe to Colin's point, we should be doing more with platform engineering group. Um, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know what that looks like.
You guys got saw the survey results and stuff. Did anyone actually like look at that stuff? The CNCF platform engineering
The
tech
radar
radar?
stuff or something else?
The radar?
Yeah, the radar stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Actually, I met Liam,
Yeah,
who authored it at KubeCon. We talked for a while.
awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of great support there, or a lot of great evidence there. It makes me, the whole problem of like a bunch of users, it makes me wonder, like, of those users, how many of their bosses or like architects or decision makers are like actually conscious of like they were consciously using build packs versus like build packs was used to just solve a problem and it's just in there. It's kind of curious.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any
Do you run
question out there.
surveys in the platform group, Colin, to
We do.
help
Yeah, we ran.
these projects, I guess, figure out stuff?
Yeah, we put the initial one together for the tech radar, which is what like where we ended up seeing we're like, oh shit, build packs is in here a bunch. And then that fed into the formal one that they did. But we're gonna continue to do more.
Okay.
The other side too is we're kind of a gateway. We're kind of a gateway into the end user tab. And so if you guys wanted to do something more deeply like would love to see a one of the CNCF reference architectures from one of the like build pack adopters, basically. So maybe that's Bloomberg or something, right? But that those tech radars are usually kind of platform engineering focused, and we get asked about them. And that's something like we can provide some connectivity and some
Nice.
sponsorship, if you will, to try to get some of that stuff going. But really, it's just as simple as like, hey, Bob, I've got somebody that wants to do a tech radar. What do I got to do? Not a tech radar, sorry, reference architecture. I can't talk today, apparently.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, happy to help.
So,
But for us, build packs are selfish. We're trying to use them and build up that momentum and contribute back and get all that good functionality.
yeah.
You can't have all the fun over there, Joe. And he left.
Yeah,
My fault.
Left.
All right, guys.
cool.
I'm
I
gonna drop
appreciate it.
too. Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
thanks, everyone.
Nice to talk to
All right.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
You're welcome.